As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Lockjaw guitarist Jeff Ogle to the podcast. Lockjaw's new album, Relentless, is out today. If you're a fan of Lamb of God, All That Remains, Killswitch Engage, and bands in that vein, I think you'll be a fan of this record. Jeff talks about baseball and the injury that led him to quit pitching, hitting the reset button on Lockjaw, life as an independent artist, and more. This interview was a lot of fun, and I hope everyone gives Relentless a spin. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app of choice. RIP to Stitcher. The best way to support the show is to share episodes with your friends and like-minded people. Word of mouth is definitely how things grow, and it is much appreciated. Over on the mailing list, I shared some photos from the He Is Legend show that I went to last Sunday. asthestorygrows.substack.com, or you can find a link in the show notes. Enjoy today's chat with Jeff Ogle from Lockjaw.
We're out here. We bought a big RV to tour in, and we're out here remodeling it, and we're tearing out the buffet, like the booth area.
Yeah.
And we're gonna recover it and do black wallpaper and lights and all kinds of shit. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
what we're doing today.
That's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Real DIY over there.
This band is 100% funded by us, and we are DIY everything.
Nice. Did you grow up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yeah, Fort Worth. Yeah. Fort Worth and Dallas are basically like two Houstons sitting right next to each other.
Yeah.
I live on the far northwest side of Fort Worth, so I love it here.
Nice.
It's hot, but it's nice.
Yeah, yeah. What was growing up like?
It's awesome, man. Suburban. I went to a 5A school, played baseball. I was a pitcher, and I hurt myself and had some issues with I grew up with my grandparents and had some issues with school. It was kind of a rough time for me. And so baseball didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. It's unfortunate too, because I was a lefty and I threw about 95 in some places. Nice. I threw pretty hard, but heavy metal just took right over. Music took right over, and it's been my obsession for the better part of my life.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Let's talk about throwing a baseball really fast, because I love baseball. Yeah. I'm fascinated by like how a person can throw a ball 90 to 100 miles an hour. Like, what are the mechanics of that? Like, how did you develop that skill?
Oh my God, dude! I started playing when I was a kid, and I don't know, I might have been a pissed off kid or something, because I just threw really hard, and all the kids were staring at me, and I was left. I didn't throw up here. I kind of threw out here like Nolan Ryan. So when I threw out here, it caused a lot of movement on the ball, and being a lefty, if you're looking at the batter, ball's going to tail back this way instead of, on a right-handed batter. And it was just terrifying to the kids. And so I grew up being pretty aggressive towards baseball. I was competitive. And I loved the feeling of imposing my will, basically striking somebody out, throwing a ball past them so hard that they couldn't hit it.
Oh man,
I had a nasty curveball. I threw you remember Cliff Lee? He used to play for the Texas Rangers.
Oh yeah.
He threw a knuckle curve, and so it was like I don't have a baseball in here doing. I don't know what I do with my baseballs. Oh, right here, yeah. So this is a Nolan Ryan baseball.
Nice.
And this is a Josh Hamilton World Series. He was a beast, man. I loved him. And then this was something that was really cool. In '96, I threw a no-hitter.
Oh, wow.
So Yeah. And so anyway, Cliff Lee, if I can open this, Cliff Lee threw. So this was a fastball, four-seam fastball.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff Lee threw this curveball. This is what a Nolan Ryan curveball looked like. It was on the seams right here.
Mm-hmm.
So Nolan Ryan would come up instead of throwing like this, he would come in like that. But Cliff Lee did this thing called a knuckle curve.
Yeah.
So he put his knuckle right on that ball, and just when he came down, it threw it like a slider almost, and it was the nastiest pitch. And I developed that at an early age, and kids were scared to death of it. It was gnarly. So yeah. Anyway, long story short. So, honestly, I think it's all in the legs and mechanics. A lot of pitchers want to throw all arm, and really it's all legs and conditioning and mechanics. And if you learn how to use your body, your whole body, that'll add 10 miles an hour to your fastball,
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
So
that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
All right, that's cool. What was your injury? Just like something with your arm or elbow or?
Yeah, it was two things. I was out with my friends in about 95 or 90, no, it was October of 97, my senior year. We were out around Halloween, and we were kind of devious, and we were out hitting mailboxes with a baseball bat, ironically enough, just out of the back of a truck. And I flew out of the truck and landed on like the side of a curb and broke 3 bones in my back. That was October of my senior year, and that really affected my grades, and then caused me to I had to leave that school and go to an alternative or a alternative school where you worked at your own pace. So I was able to make up the first semester and second semester and graduate on time with my class, but it really put a hindrance in my baseball and just everything I was doing. So I just kind of, I don't know, I just think I just lost focus. And then I did play baseball and softball after high school, and I went to a doctor about 10 or 15 years ago, and he said that I needed to have Tommy John, just the medial ulnar ligament right here. And he said, you need to have that rebuilt. But I said, I'm never going to try to play competitively anymore. I don't really care. I'm just playing with my kid. And when I'm throwing with my son, I'm throwing probably, I bet I could still hit 80.
Oh, wow.
But without hurting myself,
Yeah.
So heavy metal seems to be more suited for me.
Yeah. Yeah. What got you into music?
In third, I'll tell you the quick story. In third grade, my good friend Mike and Brad Hackett was my good friend. He was listening. Everybody was into skating back then. Pal Peralta, late 80s, skating, skateboarding, BMX. And my friends were all listening to like thrash metal and listening to Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood, Metallica, Justice for All at the time. And I heard of Justice for All in third grade. We were able to bring our little Walkmans, little cassette tapes to school, and I was sitting there listening to probably like Janet Jackson or something. or like, CNC Music Factory or Vanilla Ice or some shit. Who knows what a third grader's listening to. But my buddy Mike and Brad had the Justice for All, and I heard it, and I was like, oh my God, this is for me. I love this. And then fast forward a few years to 7th grade, the Black Album came out, and that changed my life.
Yeah.
I loved that Metallica had the balls to cross over from metal to rock. They went from the most progressive, heavy, badass album that was not really well produced, but still badass, and Justice for All. But going to the Black Album that was incredibly produced, Bob rock, mainstream rock, and just made that crossover into rock. And I just thought it was genius, and I just immediately took to it. And that same year, it was like Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction, and then Seven Dust came out in 99. Huge fan of Seven Dust. I love Clint Lowry. He's one of my favorite guitar players. James Hetfield. All of that stuff just inspired me, and I love that heavy crunch thing. So that's probably what you hear in our music, is you probably more of that influence of that era than you do the new stuff, the deathcore, metalcore stuff that's modern. You're probably hearing a lot of elements of that era than you are this now, which we all come from our influences, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of 72 Seasons?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, mean, you know, Metallica is the most loved, hated band in the world. You know, everybody complains about them except for they're selling out arenas and stadiums.
Right.
Like, shut the fuck up. Like, these guys are genius.
Yeah.
Lars is a fucking genius, and Lars plays in front of stadiums. He wins. Nobody else has anything to say, you know? Like, shut the fuck up. It's silly.
Yeah. I like the record. I think them, like, the past few releases where they were trying to be thrash, like, it didn't work. And this record, it's like, these guys are having fun again. And, like, you can hear it in the music. Like, this is, like, joyful. Way more joyful than they've been in years.
I will say, though, I loved Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I loved that record. Every song on there I just really thoroughly enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But 72 Seasons does it for me, man. That just you can tell he went back to the old original Flying V Gibson. You can tell he went back to his old Mark II C++ head. You can tell he went back to old school because it just sounds like it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like Kill 'Em All produced in 2023.
Yeah.
You know.
When did you start playing guitar?
7th or 8th grade.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I'm 44 now, so I would just say, you know, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point, because you were playing baseball, at what point did you start playing in bands?
I started Lockjaw in 1998.
Okay.
The year I graduated high school, I immediately told Jason, my best friend, I said, we've got to do something with this. Him and I both played the guitar. I was like, we got to do something with this. And we just kind of like fell into it and just started doing it right after school. And then we probably started playing gigs around 2000.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Where'd the name come from?
Yeah. This is always the funny. Around 98, 99, I can't remember. We were big into horror movies like the old Evil Dead, Freddy, Chucky, Jason Voorhees, all the old stuff, right? The classic thrasher stuff. We were always really into that because we thought it was hilarious. And we used to like want to make movies and do like special effects and like cut an arm off and have like a ridiculous amount of blood squirt out of it. You know, stupid stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we were at a Halloween haunted park here in Texas, and I want to say Drowning Pool had just started coming up, and there were Dallas guys, and we were going to the local show, which the 97.1 The Eagle used to have a really cool Sunday night show called The Local Show, and it was hosted by Chaz at the time, and then Robert Miguel later. These are two really well-known DJs here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it was the Eagle back in its heyday was awesome. We don't even have a rock station now. It's ridiculous. I don't know what any of these corporate assholes are thinking because we should have a radio station in Dallas, one of the biggest markets. Anyway, Chaz was doing the local show. We're driving through Dallas. We were right in front of where Kennedy got shot at Dealey Plaza. We were right there. I'll never forget it. And Jason and I were laughing at like just being assholes. And he said, man, I can't wait to get down to Deep Ellum and get all these girls. And, you know, basically, I can't really say what we were saying, but basically, I can't wait to get down there and get some ladies. And I said, and he said something like, we got to be careful. We don't want to catch clubfoot or lockjaw or like they're like a venereal disease or something. Yeah. So he immediately said lockjaw, like saying we were going to catch that from the girls down there, I guess. And I looked over and was cracking up. I was like, oh, this is funny, you know. So the wild women, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just stuck to me. I was like, oh my God, that's the name, you know. So we were this close from being called Clubfoot.
Yeah. Yeah. I not quite as metal as Lockjaw.
Yeah, right. No, look, Lockjaw is pretty metal compared to Clubfoot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we have a big show coming up and we were talking about doing a little. We didn't, you know, in Dallas, I don't believe in playing in our hometown more than twice a year. Mm-hmm. You kill your crowd if you play every weekend. You know, if Metallica came every week, people would eventually, it would take a while, but people would eventually get tired of going to see them.
Yeah.
In the same sound. So a lot of mistakes of local artists are that they play too often in their town and they kill their crowd and they're not really gaining a fan base. And it really pisses off club owners and promoters. And it's just, it's in bad form.
So I went scouring the internet for information on your band outside of the new album. And there's nothing. Is this just like your first set of releases, or have you guys scrubbed the internet of any past music?
I scrubbed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were self-produced in Dallas for many years, and we put out 3 or 4 EPs, and I think it's all cool stuff for the local Dallas scene. We kicked ass in Dallas, but I felt like when we ran across Chris Collier, our producer, and he works with biggest bands, and I felt like that it was time to, if we were going to do this, let's do it right, and let's go big or go home. This is it. I don't have any more time to spare. We're going all in. So I took down a 17 or 18 song EP basically off of all streaming platforms and started over and started releasing the new stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. When Joe joined the band, was that before or during lockdown?
It was right before lockdown. I met him at, I knew Joe for years. His band Jackknife played with Lockjaw years, and he, he got signed. Paul Bassman, the guy that was managing Drowning Pool and Damage Plan for Diamond Benny, signed them to manage them, and they were out on tour and playing with all the big names that you hear today, like Lamb of God and Bullet for My Valentine and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he stopped playing for about 8 or 10 years, and I ran into him right before COVID at a Machine Head meet and greet or a Machine Head show, and we just immediately started talking. And I said, "Hey, I'm about to take Lockjaw all the way. I'm about to do it. I'm working on everything. I'm writing songs." And he goes, "I'd love to talk to you, but I haven't played in a long time. And if we do it, I want to do less screaming and more melodic vocals." And that was right before COVID. Most of this record was written during COVID, during the craziness of the world. And a lot of the songs reflect that. You can hear it in the songs. So,
yeah, this album is cool. It's funny that you mentioned like the older metal scene being an influence, because it reminds me a lot of like, Lamb of God and All That Remains and like Kill Switch and like peak like American metalcore. Like that's what it resonates with me, and like instant connection. Like,
thank you. That means a lot to me, and I hope that that's the whole point of this record. Is I hope that it really becomes something in the American metal rock world. And I don't want to be labeled. I don't want to be, this is Lockjaw. They're this melodic, heavy band that does breakdowns and some, I don't give a shit about any of that. I wrote a record and I love it, and I want the world to love it. And if they relate to it, then great. That's all I care. I don't care about genres.
Yeah. How'd you get connected with SAUS, the Orchard, for distribution?
My friend Nick is in the band he used to be in the band called the Destro in DFW, and they were awesome. And he started a band he went to work for a couple labels, and he became really in with, I think, Roadrunner or Nuclear Blast or one of them. I can't remember which one, but he started a new band called the Contra Cult Collective. Really cool band. Kind of, check them out. They're really cool.
Yep.
Kind of disco metal, maybe. I don't really know how you describe it. It's really cool though. He got in with, he knew all the people in the industry, and he got me with Lewis over at Asia, I don't know what you call them, AISA US, and they said they could distribute us through Sony. And so Lewis is kind of guiding us in a sense. He's not really officially like a manager, but he is our distribution partner, and he is guiding us and helping us make some real good connections and stuff. So friends of friends, networking, man.
Yep. Awesome. Album is called Relentless. Where did the title come from?
Well, obviously it's one of the songs, but I felt like when we had the discussion of what we were actually going to call this record, it was between like Relentless or Silence the Fear or one of those that really had a deeper meaning. And I think Relentless is about never giving up hope. It's about the fact it has parallels, so like, hey, it's about the fact that we are where we are in our life and still continuing to do this and make it happen. It's the fact that we are an independent artist when we don't have any real industry connections other than just our little network of people, John Freeman and the guys we're working with.
Yeah.
But we're starting from scratch in a sense, we're not like one of us wasn't in some huge super famous band that automatically has ends, we're starting from scratch, and we are relentless, and it's about hope. I think it also means that, hey, when I'm dead and gone, everybody's going to know that I was the most relentless motherfucker out there. I was the guy that was never going to stop, and that's what we hope people pull from it, at least.
Yeah. You guys are doing a vinyl release of this album. What led you to vinyl, and like, is this release in conjunction with vinyl finally being ready? Like, how difficult was that for you guys to get?
It's super easy, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
I hear nightmares. I hear people say it's nightmares. I ran into this company, and I really liked them, and they said, "Hey, we'll get it out for you." And it took about 8-10 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Exactly, it was not bad, but we got them in, and I got this one right here, actually.
Oh, rad! Nice.
Yeah. So, light's kind of shining on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got them in, and it's pretty crazy, thinking that after all this time and all this, that we have something so cool to show for it. And we listened to it the other night on the record player. It was pretty neat.
That's awesome.
It was not that hard to get, though. But I've understood that if you're on a label, that the wait time is ridiculous. And probably if we had ordered a huge quantity, it would have probably taken a lot longer too.
Yeah. Did you write any of the lyrics on this album?
No lyrics. I wrote all the music. I wrote 90% of the music, probably. I start with a riff and add a verse and an intro and a chorus, and just see how it feels. Send it to my producer, who usually send me an arrangement back. We just go back and forth. And Joe usually writes the lyrics. What I do help with is vocal production. Joe and I will get in here, and I'll be doing engineering. And I'll be like, hey, let's do the verse, let's do the chorus, let's double it, triple it. And then we just do as far as we can until we come to a hard spot, I guess, if you want to call it. And then we get to our producer, and our producer will help us with any tiebreakers if we're having any debates about like which direction to go. Our producer will help us with harmonies and working out the best. And usually, we'll end up recording choruses 5 to 10 times with layers, depending on, and then putting it all together and choosing the best ones, So I typically just have an ear for production, although I don't have the same ear that Chris, our producer, has. I have at least a good rough direction that I can help with Joe. So Joe just stands right here behind me and records the vocals as I'm doing it. And then kind of when it's time to get the final draft, Chris will zoom in. And he's in Vegas, so he'll zoom in and he'll control the board and get the final cuts from Joe. Joe and I have to put the work into it before.
Yeah. Nice. The album is out on the 7th. You guys have a show on the 15th. What's the rest of this year look like? What are you hoping to get done? I know touring is still like a nightmare if you're an independent band.
Yeah. We have a tour lined up already, but I can't announce it yet.
Okay.
I can tell you that we are working with our friends in El Nino.
Okay.
And we are going to be going out with them, but I can't announce the details of that yet.
Okay.
So they're still working out all the routing and all the other acts and stuff that are on it, but we are on it. And we have a big festival that has not been announced yet. It's in Mexico City, and it's the biggest metal fest out there. And I'm sure you can guess, but we are on that too. We are confirmed for that as well. And they have some of the top headliners. Yeah, it's going to be a big show.
Nice.
So those are all happening this fall, this summer and fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in between that, we'll be hitting Texas and regional dates as well.
That's cool. You've been doing and trying to make this band happen for such a long time. With this record, has the industry changed in such a way that you find like it's easier to get it out there and be an independent band, and like, or is it just harder because everything is out there all the time and like people's attention span for new bands or unsigned band is limited?
That's a great question. I don't think we had. Well, first of all, the reason we did not make it before was because our music was not there. That there's a maturity to this band now that I can understand. The older we get better perspective.
Yeah.
You just see things from a different point of view. And the songs before were self-produced. We'd either go into a studio locally and work. There's some good producers here in Dallas. I mean, real good guys. But I feel like we did one or two drafts of the work, and we could have gone to draft 5 to get that real seriously professional product. And we just didn't understand that at the time, maybe as in our youth. And we were in our 20s, like we didn't know. And back then it was all about getting signed to a label.
Yeah.
So things have drastically changed. The industry has completely changed. And so, and I have a pretty successful business, and I've been able to start a record label myself, and it's called 620 Records, and it's exclusively for Lockjaw. And I can make things happen that I could not in my 20s. And now I feel like for someone like me in my position, to be able to put money behind marketing, PR, videos, product, merch, tours, all those things, we can be self-sufficient and do it ourselves. So for me in my position, I think it's easier. When I release a song on Spotify, it's right next to a Taylor Swift or a Metallica song. The only difference is Taylor Swift and Metallica are putting a shitload of money behind it.
Right.
Getting the shit out of it. And that's what's they already have a name too. They already have a big name. So for a band like me, I was talking to my marketing guy the other day. He runs all of our ads, and he was telling me, he goes, I said, where do we compare with a lot of the other bands that you deal with? He goes, from large to small. And he goes, well, the large bands don't do near as much advertising as you do. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, they've already got a name.
Yeah.
They just put a little ad spend behind it, and that's it. He goes, right now you're breaking through. And he said, but he goes, for bands your size, you're doing 3 times what your peers are doing. I was like, really? He goes, yes. And I was like, I didn't know that. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but I think the reason we went from 1,500 followers on Facebook to nearly 70,000 is because we've been putting the time and energy and money into growing our social media, sending people from social media to Spotify, sending people to Apple Music, growing our YouTube page, developing a fan base there. It's all a part of a pie. It's and there's slivers of the pie, and the next thing is radio, but radio is incredibly expensive.
Right.
That's going to be the next. We're going to take one of these songs to radio, and we're talking to a really well-known radio guy right now to figure out which one's going to be the best one. So
nice.
It's all part of the pie, and I think it's very attainable. If you're asking me long and short, I think it's very attainable now.
Yeah.
I think more doors are open now than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And because you're independent, you're doing it yourself. Like looking at your web store, you guys have a ton of designs, a ton of merch, like a lot of great stuff. Like it's independent. Like, so you're putting the money in, but all the money's coming back to you and not being filtered through labels and all that shit.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really neat when you get a distribution check, even though it's not like a ton of money, but you get 20, 30, 40,000 streams, and you get 500 or $1,000 and you get that every month or so. That's pretty neat. And I can put that right back into marketing. I spend a lot on marketing. I feel like, why do you need a record label if you've got 1 million fans that will come see you play?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
All the money. Why do I need a manager if I can already manage it myself? I run a multi-million-dollar construction business, so why couldn't I manage this myself? I don't know. And maybe one of these days somebody's going to tell me the answer, and maybe they say, I have the answer for you. Remember that movie, Almost Famous?
Yeah.
Love that movie. Remember when Jimmy Fallon goes in and talks to the band and says, if this would have happened, I would have done this. Remember, he kind of schools them just a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that Jimmy Fallon guy to come in and say, hey, you guys have done a really good job, but now you want to go play in the big leagues. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I don't think a label is going to be that person. I think it's going to be a booking agent, a talent agency, or a manager. I think you can probably tell we are very passionate about what we do. And we're a bunch of everyday guys. I have a roofing business. Our drummer has a public adjusting business. Our guitar player, Justin, the lead guitar player, he has a landscaping business. Our singer, Joe, is his wife and his family own a window business. We all are real guys, real dads, real people that are just trying to prove what we want to prove is to all our kids that anything is possible, and that the world's not so bad if you actually put the hard work in. And I think that's what we're trying to prove. Honestly, at this age, I don't think the fame part doesn't. Man, I don't give a shit about that. I don't care. I want to get big, and the reason I want the band to get big is because I want to be able to do this forever. Yeah, and I want to be able to connect with people. That's it. But I appreciate everybody that's jumping on the train and checking us out.
Props to Freeman. I try to listen to everything they send to me, and if I like it, I'm saying, let's set something up. And like I said, it reminded me of that, like all those big American metalcore bands. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Dude, that means a lot to me. That's great. Yeah, Chris, our producer, he does Korn, he does Nonpoint, he does Vended, Corey Taylor's kids band. He does a bunch of really incredible acts. And Chris has got an amazing ear. And we connected on the Black album, and I told him, when we wrote these songs, he said, where do you want this to land? And I basically said, I want this to land right where Metallica did in 1991. I want it to be heavy as shit, a lot of groove, thrash, but I want it to just feel like these massive wall of sound, big guitar tones, big kick drums, layered vocals. I just want it to sound huge. And he said, that's right up my alley. Let's do it. And I don't know if I'll ever work with anybody else.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song.